the city never sleeps. The magic in the air so deep. We chase the moments, make them last. The future mirrors all your...
Welcome to the Icons Edit, the podcast where screen, style, and pop culture collide. I'm your host, Dawn Anna Williamson, and today's topic is a behemoth of the reality TV industry in the 2000s. It's one of the biggest shows that came out in that period. It is, of course, America's Next Top Model. And to talk about it, we have not one, but two special guests. We've got my regular special guest co-star, Julian Saul.
I'm pretty much going to just be your co-host at some point because I'm back. This is like my second time back. Third time doing this.
And we have a very special expert guest today for you. Here on my left, he is one of the original judges from America's Next Top Model. He's a fashion industry expert, stylist, photographer, just all-round fashion industry veteran.
That's right.
Mr. Nole Marin, everybody.
Thank you.
You should do it like how Tyra does the.
I was going to.
Was it like fashion stylist and guru?
I
what did she
actually was
say?
trying to do that.
You know what? I forget what she said, actually. What was it now?
Because I know everybody else's. I know Nigel's was noted fashion photographer.
Yeah,
and Twiggy's was
like
fashion icon and living legend. But what was yours?
You know, I don't even know.
Were you an editor?
I was a fashion editor.
I think she did refer to you as an editor.
Okay.
And I think it was, I think she says fashion industry expert, which is why I included it in mine. Because I wanted to do that as well. And
now
I was
you're going to make me go back and see what she said. My God.
Either way, you're a legend in America's Next Top Model and fashion and pop culture.
Thank you.
Having you on it, we are so thrilled, aren't we?
I'm so thrilled to be here with you two fabulous people.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited for this interview.
We love the show, don't we?
You must understand. So, like, we were just talking about this before the podcast, before we started the podcast, which was the what were we talking about? The Netflix documentary Reality Check.
Of course, which is what's really probably incited the whole America's Next Top Model thing back up again.
Of course.
I was telling both Dawn and Nole that I was in the first, I think, 3 minutes of that documentary. It was a short snippet of me impersonating something in the show, and
I saw that.
I said to everybody else, I said, you know what, if it was a documentary on American Idol or Project Runway or some other reality show, it wouldn't have affected me as much because I was obsessed with America's Next Top Model. I watched all of the seasons.
Really?
I knew I could. I don't know if I can do this now, but I used to be able to list all the winners.
Wow.
I used to be like, this winner of cycle 1 is this, the winner of cycle 2 is this, the winner of cycle 3. I was so
big
obsessed.
fan.
So the fact that like I get to be part of this, even if it's like 3 seconds, the cultural zeitgeist that is, it makes my little 13-year-old like
so happy.
So happy.
And of course, you of course were in the documentary because you were one of the original judges. Let's talk about your journey. I want to talk about you before America's Next Top Model. I want to hear how your career started, and then we'll talk about how it came to be, because I know it was season 2 onwards. So tell me about you first. How did you get into the fashion industry? What happened?
I was born and raised in this incredible city of New York, and I love it, and I've always loved it. My parents met here. I was conceived here. I was born here. So fashion has always been my vice. My mother worked in retail on Madison Avenue. My father was an artist. Andy Warhol would come to my house.
Oh my
father
God.
did some work for Andy Warhol. So we were always around very artistic people. So New York really, I just entrenched myself in New York. And when I was younger, I always loved magazines. I used to love all the Vogues and Bazaars and all the different, subsidiaries of it. So I always had a fashion vice. I went to fashion high school, lasted only 1 year because it was a very hard school. Then went to private school. And I was out at nightclubs at, 16, 17. I was at the original Palladium, the original Limelight, all those incredible clubs that you hear about back in the 80s and 90s.
You are like the authentic New Yorker.
The authentic New Yorker. So
I love that.
As I grew up, I didn't really know what I was going to do or really what I wanted to be. So I started working in different modeling agencies. And then from there, I left the modeling agencies because I was not getting paid enough. Thank God I was living home with my mom still at that time. And then my mom moved out. Then I had to start paying the bills. Da, 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 da. And my friend Grazia Revenditi was a top makeup artist in Italy, and she was doing the Dolce & Gabbana show. She was doing Moschino. She was doing Neil Barrett, D Squared, and a slew of other top shows in Milan. And she had a lot of celebrities, and one of her celebrities was Claudia Schiffer.
Oh my God, I read this about you.
Right.
Star Claudia Schiffer.
That's amazing.
So my friend Grazia says, you should become a stylist. And I'm like, okay, you mean the ones who do... I didn't know the difference between the hair and the clothes. People always said, when I said stylist, they always thought it was just the hair. I knew it's the difference. So I go, okay, well, how do I do that? So she goes, you know what? We'll start building your portfolio. So we did one test with a photographer named Marcus Klinko, who actually went on to do Beyonce's first album cover and a slew of other, top celebrities. And about a month later, I get a phone call. Grazia's in Italy. She goes, you need to call Claudia Schiffer's office tomorrow and speak to her assistant at the time, Layla. I'm like, okay, for what? She goes, I don't know what the event is, but you need to dress her for this event. And you know what? It's free. But Nola, you need to do this because I think you can get in with Claudia.
I mean, you'd do it for free for Claudia Schiffer, wouldn't you? To have that on your
my
resume.
And I was styling not even a month. So I went to Fashion Cafe because Claudia had an office inside of Fashion Cafe.
Do you remember that? You don't.
He's too young, baby.
Too young.
He has no idea what
I
we're
only
talking
just
about.
moved to New York last year.
Oh,
so
Fashion Cafe was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but we'll tell you about that later. So I went to the Fashion Cafe, met Layla. So she was, you're going to do something called the VH1 Fashion Awards. And I'm like, oh, I know what that is.
Oh my God, this was one of the most iconic
And
events.
do you know what that is?
No.
Oh my God.
I'm such a virgin.
The
like the
VH1 Fashion Awards were like akin to the MTV
Yes,
Music Awards.
But
Okay.
it was all fashion and music, and it was fabulous.
It was a huge event.
Yes. So I go, all right. So then she gave me a letterhead, and she goes, if you have any problems, have them call my office. So at that point, I remember I said, I got to really turn this out because this is a great opportunity for me. I went to all the top designers from Versace to Dolce to Christian Dior, Alexander McQueen. I ended up putting her in a Jean Galliano, Christian Dior. It was a yellow kind of like Asian style.
What year was this?
94.
Galliano at Dior.
2004.
That was to die
2000.
for.
Wait, oh my God! What year was it? 2000? No, was it 2004?
Was it before ANTM?
Yeah, way
Would have
no,
been the 90s.
94.
Yeah,
94. Sorry.
yeah.
Thank you. And I haven't even had a drink. 2004. Right. 1994. And I remember I put it in this yellow kind of like dress with a beautiful blue bow, like ribbon through it. Years later, Kim Kardashian wore it, but it didn't look anything like when Claudia Schiffer had
I
it
would
on.
imagine not.
And I put in these beautiful gold lame boots by Valentino, put these big orchids in her hair. And she invited me to go. Since she didn't pay me, and she said I did such a good job, she'd like to invite me to the VH1 Fashion Awards.
So you went to the VH1 Awards?
With her in the limousine. And that was my first like red carpet experience. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. All the lights and cameras. And that's when red carpets were still kind of new and celebrities were really, getting out there. They were becoming, models were bigger than celebrities at that time.
Of course, because we had the supermodels.
Right.
So we were in the era of
and
the
she
supermodel.
was a supermodel. She was one of those top supermodels. Anyway, she received so much press, and she was almost like voted best dressed, that she invited me 5 days later to her house, and she was living with David Copperfield in the top of this Galleria.
Oh my God, do you remember when she was with David Copperfield?
Yes, I dressed him too for the Oscars. I dressed them both. And she's like, okay, you did such a great job. I would like for you to be my personal stylist for all my appearances. She would do L'Oreal, Fashion Cafe, Bulgari, wherever she had a contract that she had to do appearances, I did all that. And it was a freaking magic carpet ride of fashion. It was insane.
What
I
an
did
entry
Oscars,
into fashion.
Oscars, Golden Globes, Cannes Film Festival, anything that was like high in glamour.
You were
and
living
beautiful.
the dream
I
as a
was
stylist
living
at that point.
dream, and honestly, I had no clue what the heck I was doing the first few months, but I faked it until I made it, and it was fabulous, and I loved it.
That is such
what an amazing career.
What a story of how you got into it. Now, how then did America's Next Top, how did it come about? Where did it come from?
I met Jay Manuel on a trip in Jamaica, and I was dreading this trip because we trucked through, went to like Kingston, we went from Kingston to Negril to Port Antonius, and he was the makeup artist. We did like 3 or 4 editorials, and he was only on half of the trip. And when I first met him, I hated everyone on that trip and in that bus, but me and him became friends at the end. Fast forward, a week later, he called me for another job, and we flew down to Puerto Rico, and we became really good friends. like a few years later, I'm traveling a lot. I'm working a lot. I'm an editor of a magazine. I'm between New York, LA, Miami, wherever, Italy still, because I was working with Grati on all the shows backstage. And my mom says, you know, your friend is on this show.
And that was season 1.
Season 1, and it's so good. I go, what friend? She goes, you know, your friend. I go, oh, Jay. I go, what show is he doing? Oh, okay. I don't know. Okay, I'll check it out. Few months later, Jay calls me and says, hey, can we get together? I want to tell you what Tyra's doing. I'm like, okay, what's going on with Tyra? So we went to his house and he shows me this show. And I'm like, wow, this is what my mom's been telling me about. She loves this show. This is so cute. He goes, oh, can you be a stylist for one episode? The water shoot. I'm like, okay, water shoot.
And this
what are
was
we talking
season
about?
2.
This was season
Season
two.
Season
Okay.
2. I'm like, water shoot? Like, what do you mean? We're going to put the girls in a big fish tank. A big fish tank?
Do you remember this?
You know, so
This show, oh my God. Okay, keep going.
So I'm like, okay, and where's this fish tank? It was in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn back then was still not, it was not Brooklyn that we know now. You know what I'm
Right.
trying to say? So it was like kind of sketchy. I'm like, do we go to Brooklyn? But I guess you need this big fish tank, because it was at an aquarium fish store. It's like an exotic fish. That was a shark tank, by the way. There was a shark in there before the girls were dropped in. So it'd have been better if the
Well, I'm
girls were
glad
in.
that it wasn't the other way
I
around.
think it's
In that show, it's legitimate. They would have had the shark in the tank.
Actually, that sounds normal.
That's about
Let's
right.
put all these models in a pool with sharks.
And we'll
Like,
just tell them,
years
like, you
later.
may die, but just look pretty while you're doing it. Keep the face. That's exactly what
I'm not surprised. I'm like, you know what? That would have been a thing on the show.
I think that happened years later after I left. It got that.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
Oh, we're going to get to that, because after you left, it went whack. Like, there was
What?
stuff that went, what the hell's
Okay.
happening?
So then I remember I said, okay, well then it had to have all, you know, chiffon clothes because it needed to float in the water. So we were out there like at 5 a.m, and I remember like, oh my God, here we are. And, oh wow, that is a big fish tank. So and they pulled the shark out, and I think I saw them pull the shark out, and then they put it somewhere else. And then we had to set up the rack and everything. And then I had to meet the girls. So you have to imagine, I come from a very high-end fashion world. I'm hanging out with Claudia Schiffer. I'm on red carpets with her, you know, in the back, or we were in front or whatever. And I was backstage at all the top shows in Europe. So I saw top models, you know, I really worked with them. I saw them. So meeting the girls for the first time was like,
You were like, what's happening?
Did they not seem like models to you?
they didn't seem like models right away. They didn't, you know, because they were
Quite fresh, weren't
they
they?
were fresh. They weren't as tall.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't as maybe as lean. They were very pretty. They were like these pretty girls next door. So I knew immediately, okay, these are the commercial girls. They're not doing the high fashion girls. Okay, but they're commercial
Right.
girls, but those commercial girls made tons of money. Sometimes those commercial girls made more than sometimes the high fashion models back then. But now the high fashion model is a commercial high fashion model.
Right,
You know,
same thing.
They mix it all together now.
But back then, it was very distinctive.
Yeah, you know,
Commercial
you're
models,
right. Yep.
runway models. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a three part of the modeling world, but now it's all one. So I remember we did the shoot, and I was just like, I remember just being like, okay, just be your natural self. And I was, you know, funny, and I always had a quick tongue back in the day, still have a quick tongue. And I did my OTFs, and then they said, you know, just say what you want to say and be funny, and, you know, make it a little bit more over the top. So I did. And I guess I was so funny, and I had all these things called sound bites, which I didn't realize what sound bites were at
Right.
the time. And they go, oh my God, you're so funny. Can you judge in 3 days? I'm like, judge? Yeah, and like, oh, go to the panel and judge.
And this
you know?
was still season 2?
Season 2.
Wow. So you were a guest judge
So I was
on
a
season 2?
guest judge, and I go, oh, can you bring your dog? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll bring you Miss Minnie. And then that's the first time I met Janice, and Nigel was there, and I'm the one who helped Nigel get on the show, because Nigel was my model back in the day.
Of course he
in
was.
Omar.
He's so gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, he's a beautiful man.
I met him in 2010.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. He came and did his book launch. I was managing Selfridges. I was the personal shopping manager at Selfridges, and he came and launched his book.
Okay,
I did the
wonderful.
photo out last night. I look weird, but he looks cute.
So when I did that meeting with Jay did ask me, do you know a photographer that's English and heterosexual? And I said, well, Nigel, you know, I work with him a lot because I was an editor of a magazine, for a men's magazine, and he was shooting for me. So I said, I'll set up the meeting. We set up a meeting at Jay's house, and then Jay presented Nigel to Tyra.
So
and
you were the
producer.
dot connector.
I was the dot connector.
You
yeah.
essentially got Nigel the job on the
Yes,
show.
I did.
That's
fab.
big.
See, this
Yeah.
is the information I wanted to see in that documentary. And I feel like for me watching it again, I'm like, I kept hearing the same information over, but I wanted, I'm so glad we have you on
Yeah.
here, because those are like the things that are so interesting to me. That's, you introduced Nigel to that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then also what I'm hearing is that Jay Manuel was very heavily involved with
very
orchestrating the show,
He
is what
was
I'm hearing.
extremely, at the time I was on, looking at the documentary on Netflix, you can see things had changed after I left, but he was extremely involved. I mean, she
Very
really
relevant.
counted on him for almost everything when it came to that part of the photo shoots and the creative vision of everything.
No wonder he was so gutted when she just stopped speaking to him. Like that just,
Oh, yeah,
I can see why that would hit so much harder.
Yeah, that's definitely like when I watched the documentary, I was like, yeah, okay, Tyra does not look good in this at all.
Yeah, she didn't come across great.
I'm so happy that you're here and that I can talk to you, because actually the very first season or cycle of America's Next Top Model that I watched
Yes.
when I was a little boy in Hong Kong, and it was on cable TV, was cycle 4.
Oh, cycle 4.
It was,
That
the
my
very
last-
first one that I watched.
That was my last season. Mhm.
And I think that my family, like I had 3 older sisters, so I think that they do remember watching season 1, 2, and 3, but I don't. I think because I was too
But
young.
you went back and watched them afterwards.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, cycle 4 was just so incredibly iconic, and you do realize, Nole, that you were basically sitting in the room when it happened, the most iconic moment of television, the most dramatic moment of television.
Are we talking Tiffany?
We know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about when Tyra yelled at Tiffany, but I think that because they opened that with the documentary,
I know.
they opened it with that
Yes.
scene. That, I gotta say, is probably the most dramatic moment of reality television in the early 2000s ever.
I think yeah, I agree.
100%.
Do you remember what it felt like in that moment?
You watched history being made. You were there in the room when it happened.
I was. Actually, there are moments. I mean, I do remember a lot of the judging moments and little other things. Of course, it was over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
freaking
long time ago.
shocking. I remember her getting up, and I remember, we had to sit there and be very quiet, back then. And there was there air conditioning? I don't think you had air conditioning.
No, they would have turned it off for the filming.
It's like ridiculously hot. So we're sitting there.
'Cause the
I'm in my
lights and
suit,
everything, yeah.
Oh my God, I think I'm going to pass out. I'm saying to myself, we got to, God, I hope this doesn't go too long. Because the judging used to go 10 to 13 hours.
Are
When
you
I-
serious?
Oh my
insane.
God! We definitely have to
It's
talk about this,
insane.
because
It
this is
was
the back
horrible.
of the
Yeah.
behind the scenes, behind the curtain of reality TV. It's not as it looks. It's very
forever.
protracted.
But
Yeah.
years later, I went on, and it was like 5 hours, 4 hours. It was like ridiculously short. But anyway, I remember she got up and she was, handing out the cards, and there's the 2 girls at the end. And then I remember like, oh, thank God we can go home now. We're almost done because I'm about to pass out in this suit and everything. And all of a sudden, Tyra literally flipped her switch or flipped her wig, whatever you want to say. And literally it was jarring, shocking, and like, whoa. It was like a woof of the room, and everyone was just like, what the heck is going on? And she was really yelling at the top of her lungs. You could probably feel it through the camera when you're looking at the TV, but being in there, hearing her, like, I remember you just like immediately got so stiff and like, what is happening? I think there was a lot going on in Tyra's mind at that time. I really don't know what was going on in her mind. I always say Tiffany must have hit an inside nerve with
raw
her
nerve, yeah.
because she must have saw herself somehow indirectly through her that just triggered her, and she went off. And there were so many other things said that people were being very. I mean, it's just, we won't say. Tyra went deep on her.
Well, that's
And
what
she
I
went
was
very
going to ask
personal
you.
on her,
Did
and
we just see a small snapshot of it, so it was
Yeah.
bigger?
It was way bigger.
I remember when I reenacted the scene for social media, Kenya got in contact with me and
I love
messaged
Kenya.
me.
I'm seeing her
And she
piece
said, she sent a voice message.
So she was standing behind,
Yes,
watching
she was,
all of this
yes,
going
she
on.
was, she was in the room.
side, right?
She was on the side.
Yeah.
She had been given her photo.
Yeah.
Right.
And she sent me a voice memo, and she goes, well, what had happened was she obviously flipped her switch. She got really, really angry. And actually, there was a lot
There's a lot more.
that they cut out.
But was it stuff that we needed to know? Was the context, or was it just more
also,
crazy ranting?
I did so I know the scene off by heart really well. I can recite it.
Okay, let's
right?
see.
No, I'm not going to. But in the next episode when they do a flashback of like all the girls are like, oh, yeah, no, Tyra really got angry. Tyra goes, which is not what you see in the episode before.
Right.
She goes, be quiet, Tiffany, be quiet. But actually, in the next episode where they do the flashback, you see Tyra go, be quiet. So they obviously did cut actually a huge chunk of it out.
Right.
Kenya then voice memoed. She said, so after that all happened, they went to this back green room or whatever where they sat and waited, and they could hear the editors downstairs going like rewinding it and going back. They were already editing on site.
Well, I mean,
apparently.
surely this.
I didn't know that.
If you were on set for it, did you guys realize at that moment this was reality TV gold that had happened or
no,
not?
because you have to realize when we did reality, everyone told me not to do this show. Everyone said it's going to ruin your career.
Really?
Reality is going to, you're going to be taken as a joke. No one really thought reality was going to be what reality is. Now Tyra did, and I remember I sat right next to her, and she goes, "This is going nowhere. Reality is going to be the next big thing. It's cheap to produce, people love it, and it's going to take over."
Right.
So Tyra knew.
She was, and she was right.
Very smart
she was
about
actually
that.
right.
And she was very hands-on in every part of that show. So if she said things in the documentary that she didn't know, I mean, that's not.
Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say I have to ask you about when it came to the producing side of things. When it at panel, you and the judges, when it came time to eliminate one of the girls, did you actually get a say in it, or was that all producers?
No, we had a say in it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And we did deliberate. We and sometimes there was a tie.
Really?
Yeah, there were. And there was a few ties. And we did deliberate, and we did make our choice. Sometimes
was it with Ken as well? Was Ken involved in that at all? Or was it just Tyra and you guys?
He would come over to the desk and say, so is this what you guys want? And or did you choose that? I chose that person, yes. And,
okay, so he was, but he wasn't trying to say this has to be the outcome for each thing.
Not on my cycles, no.
Amazing. I think possibly we can't speak to it, but later on, because I know a lot of the girls have come out and said that their best photos were not used.
I saw that. Now, see, I wasn't part of that production side of things because we were judges.
Yeah, of course you were. You're just presenting with the information
right,
that you were presented
that's
with.
It. So I don't know. I mean, looking at the documentary and then seeing other people doing the podcast, they said that they did not maybe present the best photo, which is sad to hear, because I mean, I always think you want to put the best photo forward on anything, but we are creating a story. It was a reality show.
Right, of course it was.
And it was a magical time. It was so brand new. I mean, it was so brand new. Like I'm saying, we had no clue that whole Tiffany saga was going to be golden history in reality television, because we were just doing it every day, and we were learning stuff, and they were learning, and it was just so new that it was the wild west, I hate to say.
Let me ask you, did you as a judge on cycle 4 think that Tiffany could win?
I thought Tiffany definitely could have gone a lot further.
I didn't see her as the winner. Tyra's reaction was a little surprising to me, because I'm like, I don't know. She just, for me,
I think just Tyra was like, I mean, it's so memeable, but she screams, "I was rooting for you. We were all."
Right.
I actually do think that Tyra was rooting for her.
Rooting for her because we knew she had a little bit of a back end story, like
rags to riches.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was riches at that time.
But like this idea of taking someone that was quite underprivileged in life and actually giving her this opportunity to.
Right.
I can understand Tyra's perspective of why that. I mean, I don't think it justifies her losing her shit and going crazy at her. But I understand where the pain comes from.
It didn't come out of a vacuum, but it was a little bit over the top, right?
It was. Here you are. The girl. You could see she was deflated. She was like she just gave
eliminated. Up. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but that day when she walked in, I think her energy at that judging was. She was already kind of rapidly gone. So she was already defeated.
Yeah.
So, and I think that was upsetting. And we could see that. And yes, she could have definitely gone further. I don't know how much further, but she definitely could have gone further. And she definitely had that lean, high fashion body, and she was a beautiful girl. So I think Tyra was like, why are you giving up when I'm giving you a second opportunity? And you could have gone further when you have so much at risk that you could help bring to back home. And that's the part that really not went over the line, that thank God it was not aired. She really went in to this girl personally and started saying personal things in front of all of us, which is not really that nice.
It's not cool. And also Tyra looked, I always think of the outfit and the hair that she had at that moment.
And the tube top that she was wearing.
She was wearing this awful midi tube.
The tube dress, sorry.
It really was not a great look for her. No. It's a tube midi dress with pointy toe pumps. And then she had that very like momsy hair at that point. Like she had some fabulous outfits, but that wasn't one of them. So when she's standing and she's going crazy, it's also like confusing because it just doesn't, it's a little jarring because you're like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about
I
the
always
whole...
find it really, looking back, and I still watch sometimes America's Next Top Model episodes from like 20 years ago. It's so interesting that they put Tyra literally on a pedestal. Like they have her on a platform.
Oh, she was on a platform, absolutely.
Was she on a platform?
Or the panel was raised.
The panel was raised. Yes, the panel was raised.
But like you look at her, she's looking down at these girls as she's giving them the photos.
And she's like, you're still in the running.
And they're looking up at her. Like she's on this like deity, like this godly level.
It was we were raised up on a pedestal.
The panel was raised.
The panel was raised, yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about Janice Dickinson because the great part about having you on here is, for me, your era was the best. And that's me saying that genuinely. Season 3 was my favorite season of all the episodes. We'll talk about that in a bit.
That was crazy.
It was so good.
That was so crazy.
And Janice was also on in your era too. So she was on, I think it was a five cycles.
She was in the first season. Second, third, and fourth, not on the fifth.
Yeah, so same as you. So it was...
No, I was on season 2,
3, and 4.
And
so it was that era, which for me was the best era. The best judges.
Well, those are like that was the preemie version.
It was when
we were really making the recipe of this thing called Top Model. So it was like, again, it was like non-filtered. They were just making this recipe.
And it kind of, after that, for me, I still watched it all the way through to about 18 or 19, but I waned in interest, like rapidly. Like me and my mom watched it together. She's gonna love that you're on this show. I told her. She was like, "Yeah, I will." She was like, "I'm so excited." We were obsessed with it in this era. Tell us about Janice, because I loved her, but she was
brutal.
Janice, you have to realize, coming from fashion, her era of models are my ultimate favorite. Janice, Jerry Hall, all those girls they're incredible. They really were the precursor to supermodels, to make what supermodels were. The Gias and all those girls. I mean, that's when fashion to me was really at the pinnacle of just changing the entire world of everything. So I actually loved her, and I remember with Janet, my duties were to attack Janet at all cost, and to not attack the girls, but go after them with tell them what they did wrong or whatever. And
so that's what they told Janice that she needed to do.
That's what they had told me to do to Janet. They wanted us to have this
combative,
this kind of like Paula Abdul / Simon Cowell, give and take.
They said that when I watched the documentary, that they needed a Simon Cowell evil judge, they needed someone
so they placed her as that, and they wanted you to kind of stoke the fire.
If Janet my job was to attack Janet, and to really kind of not attack the girls, but really tell them what's right or wrong, and give them those funny things that you know how to say, and do that. I'm like, funny things I say? I didn't know I said anything funny. You have that funny language. I go, what funny language you talking about? Oh, soundbite. That's what a soundbite is? Okay. So I realized, like I said, I was learning too when I was on this show. So my job was, if Janet said something, attack her, and that's what I did.
I do remember one line. I think it was in cycle 4. It's like the horoscope photo shoot.
I don't remember.
And Janice was just like, she looks like Jay Leno. And you're like, and if Jay Leno looked like that, I'd be interested. It's just so sassy and camp and just like so entertaining.
And she says about one contestant, she should work for a car toppling company. Like, because she
It's
was
so
saying she was so
funny.
big
I know.
that she should
Oh my
topple
God.
cars.
I mean, she was really savage. I do have to ask a question about Cycle
Yes.
4. There was this an episode, and I wanted to ask if you had anything to say, if you remembered that episode well. Rebecca fainting.
Oh God.
Do
yeah.
you remember the fainting episode? And do you
I
remember
remember
what
And
that.
she
happened?
just goes
Yes.
like
Because I
this.
remember your face. You're like
Right.
behind the panel. Like you were so
well, because I saw
shocked.
her falling. And I saw her eyes roll back in her head. I'm
her eyes
is she
did
gonna-
roll
is
back.
Is
Is
she,
she
is she
like-
gonna pass out? I'm saying. So yeah, and she said that her weave saved her life because she didn't crack her head open because of the
The
weave.
weave was so big. That is hilarious.
Because that girl just went straight back.
It was hard.
She didn't bend. She didn't crumple.
No.
She just went straight
And
back.
it was a very loud thump.
Oh, I
So,
remember it.
yeah.
Like hearing it bang on
Because
the floor.
you see, it was so hot in there.
And so when
It
that
was so
happens,
hot.
they keep the cameras rolling. But
Yes.
then what? People just come running and
Well, they didn't want. The producers ran over to her. They called, ANT, and they called, for people to come and help her, and she basically was dehydrated because it was very hot, like I said, in the judging room.
Yeah.
But
and this
they
has been
did
going on
feed
for
them.
12, 13 hours
Well,
at times.
10, 12, 13 hours. Sometimes I think the longest we ever did was like 14 and a half hours, which is
Whoa.
insane. So I think, did we run over to see her? I think they wanted us to stay back so that she can have her air in room and get everything together. But it was very scary to see that because I thought maybe she had a heart attack and just dropped dead. Because it was like, I've never seen anybody faint before.
No.
So I was like, wow, what was that? It was
Yes.
very scary.
And if you think about like weddings, people
Wedding?
fainting at
Oh.
weddings because they're standing up, they don't really drink water and they're just constant, and they might be a bit nervous and it might be really hot. Like people
Yeah.
always, it doesn't surprise me.
And she was
that
quite a nervy girl, that one,
But
as well.
also,
She
like,
was
these
sort of
are
a
models.
timid character.
they're probably not eating that much, right?
Right.
And so they're
Well,
like these beautiful thin models. You put
Yes.
them in a room with a lot of lighting, not much water, and they're constantly standing up. It doesn't surprise me that one just
No, I mean, every
fainted.
time at a backstage at a fashion show, there's one girl, one guy is about to faint.
Always.
And, always. So you always have to be careful.
Did
with
you
that.
ever visit the model house?
No, I was not allowed to visit the model house.
Just wondering, because sometimes people went in, did like little
No,
segments.
Janet did, I think.
Yeah.
I did not. I never got to visit the model house.
I just wondered
no.
what a shithole it was.
Um,
like
was-
if it was a complete trash heap
I don't know.
in there.
I did Canada's Next Top Model with Jay Manuel.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you guys
I
gotta
did
watch
know that. How was
show-
Canada's- how was that?
Fabulous, because we had so much fun because we had total creative control. I was the J of the show. He was the Tyra of the show. So I did all the creatives and did all the photo shoots. It's on YouTube, so you guys can
Oh,
Google
amazing.
it. Canada's Next Top
And this is
Model.
after, a couple of years after.
This was after I left, so this is probably like 4 or 5 years after.
So
I
you left in around 2005-ish, 2006 maybe?
Before Twiggy came in.
Yeah, before Twiggy came in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 2004, I think. 2005, something like
Yeah.
that. Sounds right.
Yes.
And in terms of the other judges, did you have a good relationship with them? How'd you get on with them? Who was your faves?
Well, Nigel was my model back in the day, so we were friends
Isn't
before.
he just
So
the nicest?
lovely.
But he's the
Great.
nicest person ever.
He's
like
great.
he calls everyone
I
mate.
also
He
like
always
how
calls
because
everyone
they
mate.
say this in the documentary how they had to get like a straight white
Right.
man.
They did.
to
And
but
he,
the thing is,
he
like,
really fitted that profile.
but also just like there's no judgment. There's no like I assume that,
just calm and
but like being like Jay Manuel, Miss J, like he has such a good relationship with them.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
he really
he's
does care
wonderful.
for them.
He's a nice guy.
There's no like weird straight man
he's just a
vibes
classic
from
British
him.
guy.
He's just
like,
a really nice,
he
genuine
calls
guy.
everyone mate. He's just a
Yeah, but
he's
he's
a nice
a
person.
model.
Yeah.
They're all open and fabulous like that, and he's just a great guy too. So yeah.
So on your panel, it was always Janice, you, Tyra, and Nigel, right?
It was Janice, Nigel, Tyra, me, and the guest judge.
and the guest judge.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at that because I forgot there was always a guest.
Always a
judge.
guest judge.
Because on the incident with Tiffany, there's a guy and I don't know who he is, and
forget
he's just
who
sitting
it
there like,
was.
what the fuck
He's
is happening
bald.
right now? Yeah, he's
Yes.
I forget.
I don't know who
bald. Yeah,
it was.
no, I only ever remember the
I
judges.
remember with Rebecca, it was our friend Sandy Bass who sat next to us there. Oh, it was Boris Koch. Was it Boris Koch?
It might have been. I don't
Wait,
know.
he's married to an actress from Sex and the City, the relaunch. His wife is the one who plays
Lisa.
the one with the dreads.
No,
No,
the
Lisa
beautiful.
Todd Wexley, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a producer.
Oh.
Okay, maybe.
That's her husband. And Tyra used to date him
Oh, interesting.
before her. That's not a gossip.
Did
it was no-
We're gonna reel it out
I'll
of
take
you.
that. What, so I feel like a lot of people that were invited onto the show were connections of Tyra's, right? So she
I
was
think Jay brought in a
reaching
lot
out
of people.
and Matt and Jay.
Jay was reaching out in the very beginning, then Tyra was reaching out. So yeah, people were all reaching out. And we're trying to get it all industry people. You know,
Of
we really were
course.
trying to get industry people involved in it. And a lot of times the industry people were like, what's going on? Because they didn't sometimes think the girls were models. Like, look, think of them as commercial print models. Because I always had to deal with the guest judge because I was right there.
You
So
were
they
right next to them.
So they were like, well, what do we do? I'm like, just listen to the producer. They'll tell you they have to be quiet now. And then they're like, well, what girl do you like? I go, well, I think this girl's great. And they go, well, why? I go, because I think, a picture, like, think of it as a commercial job. Don't think of it as a high fashion job, maybe right away. So then they kind of understood. So I didn't
Because the guest
mentor
judge
the
doesn't
guest judge,
necessarily
but they
know.
don't understand. So I'm
No,
like,
they're there for
yeah.
kind of vanity in a
Yes.
way. It's a vanity project for them.
I think so, yeah. But they had fun.
So to your point about the girls not looking like models, I heard something about season 3, which I'm going to run by you, and you can confirm or deny it.
They look like commercial models.
So when they were taken to Japan. So this was the first
This is
time
crazy.
that the
Yes.
that the show was this became the biggest part of the show. Where were they going?
Right.
Tyra
Trip.
telling the trip.
Right.
The trip.
So
yeah.
season they went to Japan, and they go to Japan, and apparently
Oh,
when
it's
they entered Japan,
Horrible.
they stopped them at customs
Yes.
because they believed that they're all hookers.
Yes, that's
So-
true. That's
so
true.
I know I told you I had some conspiracy theories.
That's
so
true.
It's true.
Yes.
So they stop all the girls because they believe
Because-
that there are a bunch of high class escorts being
Correct.
brought into the country for Japanese businessmen.
That's true.
It's true.
Yes.
I love this story.
Because you have to realize that in Asia, it's a very strict look at that time that the girls were bringing in for models. It was very size-wise, ethnicity-wise. It was a very strict look that worked there. And all these incredible rainbow kids were coming in like, I'm a model. Like, you're not a model.
Right.
Like, you don't look like the models that we see right now in Asia. Like I said, there were beautiful rainbow tribal kids coming in saying that they were models. So they immediately were like, they're not models.
So they
And
detained them.
They detained them for many hours. And actually, yes, because when we landed and I was on a plane with Nigel and we got into the van, they said, okay, you're not going to go to set tomorrow. It's going to be a few days postponed. We don't know when. We go, well, why? They go, well, the girls have been postponed. They were detained at customs. Well, why? Well, we didn't know. But by the time we got from the airport to our hotel, we realized they thought they were, girls of the evening, you could say.
Girls of the night.
Yeah.
And so apparently
So funny.
they couldn't go anywhere. So they sent them to Guam because Guam was an American
Oh,
Naval base.
province or
yeah.
something. So the girls were moved to Guam and had to wait there until it was approved that they were indeed models. And so if you go back and watch season 3, it's all really rushed when they're actually there because it took days to figure this out.
And there's also back end stuff about production that the production company that they originally hired to do the scouting and everything was fraudulent. And they took half of the budget.
Oh my goodness.
So if you notice, when they did the commercial, the girls are wearing these blue and white robes. Those are the free robes in a hotel because they had no money for wardrobe or anything, and they had no production. So they shot it literally right in back of the hotel.
With your seasons, so seasons cycle 3 and cycle 4, where
Yes.
you're a judge, there was some speculation online about where the locations for judging were.
Oh yeah, they didn't want anyone to know that either. It was everything was so
No, but like
top secret.
They
It was
said
so
that
funny.
they said there was somebody in the comments or said and in one of the social media posts that said that the judging actually took place in the loft in the house.
Okay, you mean cycle 3?
Well, cycle 3 or cycle 4, like what?
No, cycle 3. Cycle 3. It was downstairs was a rental space, and the girls were upstairs
Living.
upstairs. Yeah, and it's the same building. Oh my gosh. Years later, he moved in. The guy, oh my God, he was played in Brokeback Mountain. The guy who died of a drug overdose.
Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, it was in that building. Heath Ledger moved in there after. Yeah.
But that was
the build up.
season 3.
That was
cycle
season 3. And then the girls in the season 4, we were in downtown Los Angeles.
LA, yeah.
And it was very sketchy, this neighborhood. And we had our studio built, the judging studio built
Next door.
Next door. And I think the girls were, next door upstairs.
So it was all in the same
It all
location. Was that because
happens-
of budget?
Probably due to budget.
Low
and
budget.
and easier to get the girls up and down so then they could hold in their room and they can just come down and stuff like that.
That is so interesting because they always, I mean, like, whenever you see America's Next Top Model, they always like zoom in on a skyscraper in the middle of LA, and it's just like that's where the judging is. But like in reality, it's in a basement somewhere out of town.
Yeah,
like,
well, this
that's
is
what it
that's so true because season 1 was all filmed in one hotel suite. Apparently, like
That was 'cause
there
it was very
no
low budget.
and
Yeah.
they never moved out of this space. Everything
Right.
was done in this tiny little space.
Well, we
and
shot
then,
season 2 in Waldorf Astoria. And I think the girls in the Waldorf Astoria in season 2? I don't even know where they stayed in season 2.
that's where they were. Oh wow, because the budget went significantly up for
that's
season
not
2.
No, season 2. No, season 2 was in Soho, and then season 3 was Waldorf Astoria, and then season 4 we were in LA.
in LA,
Right.
and then it was in LA for like seasons after that, I think.
I'm not sure because I never really watched the show after that.
That was one of my questions. Did you watch after your season?
No, that's why I'm not going to be good in answering because I really didn't know much about that. Sorry, guys.
Because I mean, I've only watched each one through once. Like I never went back and rewatched.
Oh, I did. I want to talk about cycle 4 and Kaylin's sad news that she had a friend pass away.
Yeah.
And then immediately afterwards, was it that actual episode? I think
it was that episode, or like a few weeks or a few days, something like
They
that.
did a shoot in a grave, in a cemetery.
But so yeah, I hated that. Like it was so like watching that for me was just.
Was that deliberate? That's got to have been deliberate.
I'm going to be honest with you. I never, at the time as a judge, I didn't think it was. But
Right.
looking back and seeing these documentaries and seeing the way these girls are talking, it really does seem like it was deliberate, But when I was a judge, I didn't see it like that. But it's just too close for comfort.
It's also, I know Tyra described it as that they started to be influenced by fear factor. So it was
Right,
almost
yes.
like, why don't we actually do really nasty shit to these girls to see what kind of response
because it's
we'll
TV,
get?
it's TV, and they
Because
want it to
let's
be
not forget the
entertaining.
worst thing ever for me because I'm such
What? The spiders?
the tarantula, the
I am
spiders.
deathly afraid of
she
them.
hates- she hates them.
I'm like phobic.
I think Eva is phobic of them, and she did an amazing job.
I mean, she ended up winning, and
Yeah.
Eva the Diva for me
Yes.
was like the ultimate
She was beautiful,
winner,
though.
and she was small.
She still is.
She was
Small, she's
small,
gorgeous.
5'6", 5'7".
She was a petite girl. Yeah.
Very pixie-like.
But
Yeah.
you can never forget that she has this on. I would
And
have.
it's an iconic photo.
It is.
It is a
It is.
gorgeous
I would have
photo.
stroked out. I would have been
know.
gone, like done.
Exactly. But can you imagine if we had a spider on our face? I would have freaked out too.
No, I would. Who's
I
the
mean,
model
my
that had
God.
the yellow snake around her? And she's like, Jesus.
I could have done a snake. A snake I could do. But that,
Snake?
hell no. I'd have been out that door and down the street and gone. You'd never see me, little hole, dawn-shaped hole, gone out of the door. No way.
That's too funny. No. But I mean, they did go fear factor. I think that, again, the show started out to try to be really high fashion, but then they quickly realized this is a show. The show went from season 1 to 2. You saw the budget. Then by 3 and 4, the budget, exponentially went up and out, went very high. And they were a hit show. They had to keep up, with what they've done. And they kept having to raise the bar.
Right.
That the bar was
More
raised
crazy
so
stuff.
high. It was so crazy that, what are we doing now?
Right.
And, thank God, I guess I did leave when I left because I hear at the end there, it was insane.
Well,
Can I ask,
Yes.
did you choose to leave?
That it's very public knowledge what happened, or I told people what happened. They asked me to they wanted me to join Jay's side and go
Right.
and go on as a stylist. So I think they wanted to try to build that part of the show with like me maybe styling the girls, see if the girls can fit in the clothes, do things like that. They were extremely cheap, and I'm very strong to say they were. They gave me $3,000 for the 13 girls to style.
That's
and
insane.
I go, That's not
That's nothing.
enough money.
Actually, I'm a
Nothing.
costume designer and stylist too, and that is peanuts.
And as everyone knows, I did season 2 out of pocket, almost $12,000.
Yeah,
They
'cause you
never
did it for-
paid me.
right.
No. They told me to invoice them. And the water shoot, they said to invoice me, and we'll pay you back. Like, and clients always did that. They paid, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes a little bit more, but a good client always pays within, 4 to 6 weeks. So I go, okay. Then they said, you're so funny, please come to Italy. But you know what? Can you upfront your ticket, all your travel, all your expenses,
Oh, wow.
and pay me back? I mean, and
And they
invoice
had
us,
the
and they'll
money
pay
in
me
season
back.
2. They were
Right.
They
Is this
were,
when you
they
said,
were a huge budget.
you were on set with Shandy, I think in the documentary? Was that Italy?
Yes.
Yes,
So
and-
like I flew in all
Oh,
those
the Shandy
clothes.
thing, yeah.
I flew myself to
Sorry to talk about
Italy. I flew myself to Italy. I paid for my hotel. I stayed in the exact hotel they said.
It's all out of pocket.
All out of pocket. 22 years ago,
That's a lot
it
of
was
money.
$11,000, $12,000 is a lot of money, So I did invoice them like they asked me at the end of the season, 3 days from returning from it. And I'm the one who brought Dean and Dan were friends of mine because remember I was working in Italy with my friend Grazia Revenditi, and I was working backstage because she was heading the hair and makeup team, and I would organize all the models. That's how I got to know all the models, because I was organizing backstage with all the models. So I said Dean and Dan can do the show. They wanted a top designer. So I'll call one of my friends.
and
Dean
they're
and Dan did
fabulous.
it.
I'm a big
and
fan.
they were amazing. And their collection's awesome too. So basically came back to New York, and 3 days later, I handed in my invoice to production. And then a month later, they tell me, oh, well, accounting is closed, so we can't pay you back your $11,000. And like I told another interview, I don't care if it came from Jay's budget and it was expense and it was over. Tyra should have came out of her own pocket.
Oh,
Yes,
she had
it
enough.
should
She had
have.
more than
You
enough
see what I'm
money
trying
to
say?
pay for that.
Because she knew that I went out of my way to help build that show, bring in the right designers, and you asked me to travel, so that I paid to be on season 2. So what happened was, then they asked me to come on to season 3, and I did not. They wanted me to join the cast of pre-panel to choose the girls. The pre-show. What do you call
Yeah.
Oh, like the very first episode.
Yeah, pre-selection, yeah.
And
Yeah.
my contract was not organized, and it was 3 months of BS back and forth, and they were not getting back to my lawyer. So I said, my lawyer's like, 3 days, 4 days, 24 hours, 10 hours before I'm supposed to leave. She goes, if you get on that plane, they may do the same thing to you again. So guess what? I did not get on that plane. I go, it's not worth me paying to be on a show.
Absolutely.
I was already making great money. I was living an incredible life. I was traveling, having a fabulous time. And I remember Ken Mock called me screaming like a lunatic, nastiest person ever. He was literally, he was
Wow.
like, I always say he was like a venom, cyclone crazy person, and spewing horrible things at me. And I remember saying, this man is freaking crazy. Crazy. You heard what I said, crazy.
He's crazy.
Ken
And
Mock is
he was
crazy.
like Lucifer. I mean, he was horrible.
Wow.
And then I was like, well, F that. What's that about? They're so nasty. And he's known to be a nasty person, so it's nothing that I'm not saying
Right,
that
of
people
course.
don't know.
Wow.
So then a month later or so, they offered me a contract to be a judge, and that's how I got to be a judge. So fast forward, they then asked me to go back to the production side to style. And I'm like, $3,000 to style 13 girls correctly. And this is where I say, I didn't realize they never cared about the fashion.
The show
really
was
wa-
not about
Right, but
fashion
you see,
in any way.
right,
Like,
but-
there was even in the big photo shoots, it just wasn't
No.
fashion.
That's where I made the mistake. And I will say that then, because I thought they wanted fashion. If I knew that they didn't care about the fashion, I'd have been like, $3,000 is still not enough money, but I probably could do something on the cheesier side, but I would not really want to do that.
Yeah.
I really wanted to try to bring in the big designers. I mean, look, I brought in Dean and Dan. I had the John Galliano. These are the kind of designers that I was trying to work with. You
legendary.
know what I'm trying to say? So I said, with $3,000, I'm going to bite into my episodic rate. And I may make no money, or I may make a little bit of money.
But not
It's
worth
it.
the hassle.
So I said, no, if you cannot give me $6,000 per episode, and every other episode scale it down, and then we could make it work. And they said no. And then I said, then we can't do this. Bye.
Because Kenya said in the documentary she couldn't use any of the photos that were taken because no model agency was interested,
No.
because
Yeah.
they were overly accessorized, over made
And the
up,
makeup was just crazy.
And like, to your point, the fashion wasn't on point. It wasn't
Right.
high fashion.
Well,
so
see,
no one was really looking at them
it was
being
television
like,
modeling.
it was
That's what it
Right.
was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see, I was so drenched in fashion. I really wanted to try to bring in fashion. And I got, in my mind, I was trying to bring fashion. They didn't want it. So like I said, if I went rewound the time, $3,000. Well, they don't really care about real fashion, maybe.
Not for $3,000. You couldn't even go to H&M and get like a bunch of clothes for however many. No.
So you're right. But maybe back then you could have at H&M,
Just
but
about.
it's just what I didn't want. If I'm saying I'm the stylist, I really wanted to bring style.
Yeah, you
I
wanted
wanted to bring in elegance and grace and bring high fashion
high
to
fashion,
it. Yeah, to
exactly.
it. So I was thinking high fashion. They were thinking, I'm thinking filet mignon. They're thinking, peanut butter and jelly.
Isn't it crazy as people that
Love
watch
that.
the show, we thought it was this amazing, huge, glossy production, but the more we hear about it, it really wasn't. It was almost like done out of a transit van, like a shoestring kind of production, you know what I mean? Where everyone's just kind of like, here's a little bit of money, but let's try and make this. And it now seems like one of what was the biggest show on television at the time was actually managed really not in a big budget way.
Oh no, I don't think no, because I think it was reality television, so they really didn't have, and they were on, not to be rude, they were on CW. So did they really have a big budget? Probably not. And they just were a hit though.
It was the final choice as well. They said this in the documentary that they went to CBS and NBC, like they went to all of these like big channels, and then the last on the pecking order was
UPN.
CW.
Was UPN.
Oh,
but
UPN, sorry.
became CW.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they went, so they did UPN and they gave them a shot.
Right.
And then it turned out to be really successful.
I mean, it was so, and that's, I want to ask you, Nole, do you feel like being on the show helped your career or hindered your career?
I think in the very beginning, I never thought it would hinder my career, and I don't think it did hinder my career because I thought that people, I got tremendous recognition, street recognition. Kids were running up to me on the street when we were in the middle of Shinagawa in Japan. I remember was it Nigel? It was Nigel, his wife, Jay, and I think we were at the hairdresser Danilo, and we just came from doing a little shopping spree, and all of a sudden we hear these girls screaming. We're like, what's that? And we turn around and we go, why are these young girls running in like little school outfits? And Jay goes, oh my gosh, the show is airing in Asia. And they all recognize us and they like kind of mobbed us. And we're like, wow, what's going on here?
because it was such an international show. I was in Hong Kong when I watched
Was
it.
it 180 million viewers worldwide at the peak, I think.
Oh, like insane amount of views. Yeah.
Weekly viewers, because
That's
it was
insane.
streamed
It
in
was
so
a
many
huge
countries.
international show.
Yeah, and Tyra made tremendous money off the back end. Like I remember, that's what it was all about, is, the production side of things, exec production, the creator. She made so much money off that show, which was good, and she did, look, she's Tyra Banks. She was an incredible supermodel. No one should ever take that away from her. She was a beautiful girl. She is a beautiful woman. She did create something that is iconic. We're still talking about it 20-some years later.
Absolutely.
This is insane.
This is all true.
I still get recognized 20-some years later, and I was on 2.5 episodes.
But
So
you
it's
were
wild.
I think it's because you were on there in the heyday of it. I really do.
So
Two, three,
so you guys
four.
think that's the heyday of it?
I do personally.
I think that I think that it should have stopped by
6 or 7.
I would say season 1 to 10 were the best seasons.
Probably.
After season 10, it was just
It went
not
rapidly downhill.
good. And they do mention this in the documentary, how like Tyra was really trying to revitalize the show and was trying that she brought men in and then short girls and then the British invasion, and she just tried to do anything that she could to keep it fresh and running, and it should have just finished. They did what, 2 seasons a year?
They did 2 seasons a year.
That's insane.
It's
Like,
insane.
that's
Was that from season 1 onwards? So it was, did you do 2 in a year?
I did 2 seasons a year on my
Okay, so
episode.
you did.
Mhm,
The turnover was huge. And the thing is as well, can anyone really name, apart from 2 that I can think of, models who won it, who went on to have massive success?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's hear.
How many?
Jaslene Gonzalez from Cycle 8.
I
but
don't
that
know
was
who
after
that
you.
is, though.
You said she went on to become.
No, we're talking about
I-
people who went on to be really, I don't know who she is.
Oh, to be like a household name. No,
Yeah.
no, nobody. No,
Winnie Harlow. Winnie Harlow.
But she didn't even win, did she?
She didn't win.
But
She
she
didn't win.
went on to be huge.
Because she has this beautiful vitiligo skin,
Yes.
which
Oh,
gave her this
incredible
huge
skin.
edge and was really ahead of her time.
But who
Totally.
else? Whitney, I think, went on to have a very successful career as a plus size model. I think she did really.
Well,
But then,
Eva's doing well.
and Eva's doing well.
And
but
then
how many more people?
first runner-up is doing very well from Eva.
Yaya, that's right.
She's a an amazing actor. She's doing her acting career is amazing.
I think
she's
that
doing well.
It was. They did not become America's Next Top Model, though.
No,
They did not. Like
but also top models. If you're not a top model by the time you were 18 years old, you were on Anna Wintour's chart and you weren't already in Vogue, you weren't going to be a top model.
Right, that's right. Like Kate Moss at 14, 15.
It's a whole
You've got to be
that's
really
why,
young.
Yeah.
That's why when people would ask me, do you think you have America's Next Top Model and the girl's going to be in Vogue? I says, I don't think so. I think our girls can definitely sell, everything else from beauty products to other things. I think that we have more of a commercial beauty girl here, and I think they can do quite well in that. And they can be actresses. I go, top models are very young.
Yeah.
And I would always tell people, let me ask you a question. Who is your favorite girl from what cycle?
Oh my god!
this is
So I think I still love Eva as my.
Wow.
She just stuck in my head as always being the
Cycle
one.
3.
Cycle 3. She just. I'm not sure that I necessarily liked her personality when I watched it, but I really respected her because that girl was just a bad bitch,
Okay.
I would say Jasleen from Cycle 8. So I mentioned her before. I just think she's just absolutely gorgeous. And in Cycle 7, she was actually in Cycle 7 in the first episode, but she
Right.
wasn't selected.
Correct.
And then in Cycle 8, she won.
I quite
So
like
she's
Danielle
like second
as well.
time around. I love Danielle.
I like Danielle.
I
Danielle's
would say
gorgeous.
my
Gorgeous.
favorite one of my
I never
favorite
worked.
contestants, but not my favorite model. But one of my favorite contestants was Jade from Cycle 6.
Oh
Oh,
my god, we
Jade.
have to talk.
I'm
Do you know
sorry,
the
she's
Jade
just
one?
so iconic,
I
and
know
she
who
didn't
Jade
come back.
is, but I never got to work with her.
She never came back for the documentary. And I'm like,
She was the villain of
Yeah,
that
she
season
was
6.
such a
She was the
villain.
villain. But can we talk about her CoverGirl commercial, which was the most? They took the piss out of her so hard. So she's in like a gown and she's by a pool in I want to
Okay.
say LA or something, and she's trying. They say
Wonderful, fabulous.
They say Jade, you need to improvise. So walk along. And so she's clearly not an actress. So she's like stumbling around and she's like, hi. Like,
no, she goes, you guys look fabulous. Hello. And Jay Manuel is going,
he's cracking up like that.
because she was like, wonderful, fabulous. Like she was acting like a
So
drag queen.
funny.
She could not improvise in the sort of small way that needed to happen, and I think it's legendary because people are just like, she was so bad.
Oh my
so
God.
bad
But
at
she's
CoverGirl.
actually like, this is where I'm like, why am I laughing? Because it's actually quite mean. But like, she was such a bully on that show.
She was such
But
a bully.
She was so funny. I'm sorry, it doesn't justify anything that she did, but she was so funny. She was so, and that's why I think the producers kept her around for so long. Is that people wanted to get rid of her, but then she did actually she took some really really nice photos.
She had a
She's a
great
cute girl.
face, but
She had
she
a
was
good
such a bitch.
She was so horrible.
She worked really well for what they needed in that season. What about Shandy? Should we talk about Shandy?
Talk about
Shandy.
Because that did dominate the documentary, didn't it? The reality check documentary. That was a heavy part of the story.
So you know how like I told you before I'd never seen season 2 when I was a kid because I only remember season 4.
Right.
I remember a couple seasons later they did like a little flashback to like the best moments of America's Next Top Model, and so I got to see all of this stuff, and I remember sitting there with my sister going, oh my god, what's this? And she goes, I remember this. You were too young, but I remember this.
Ooh.
What happened was all of these guys came over.
Right.
They invited these guys. One of them got really drunk and then cheated because she had a boyfriend back home. And then she, on the show, on air, she had to call her boyfriend and say, I did something really bad. And he's like, tell me what you did. Tell me what
the
you
whole
did.
thing is so it's awful.
And I just like the music.
I know.
They dramatize it. I remember going, this is the most shocking thing. It's
Yeah.
the worst thing that I've
well,
ever
there's
seen.
many parts to this, but Nala, were you there? Because you were in
Yes, I
Italy,
was
right? This
there.
happened in Italy.
And I remember that they were going to invite the boys over to see what's going to happen.
so
And
you knew that it was not a setup, but it was almost like if we put a load of hot girls and a lot of hot guys in an apartment together, what will occur?
Correct.
Right.
And that happens when you know, in model apartments and stuff
in
like
normal
that.
life.
And, you know, normal life, no matter where the models are. And I remember someone saying, and I remember when I did the documentary for Netflix, I couldn't remember everything. And then after I did, I'm like, oh, I do remember that. So there were talks about someone's having sex in the house, and it was Shandy. And I remember I worked with her the next day. We were in Lake Como, and they're doing that nude shoot. I think they were together. And she was very upset that day.
Wow.
But she pulled through, and she did an incredible job on that shoot.
Yeah. She could have potentially won that season if she'd have stayed, because she left, right?
I feel bad because in the documentary she talks about being like, you know, she went back home after finishing, and people like would stop her on the street and be like, whore, slut.
Wow.
Because they just knew her as the girl that cheated
right
on her boyfriend.
But do you
That's
not
so
feel
sad.
like in
It's
the
really sad.
documentary they kind of made it sound like she was assaulted, in the sense that she was passed out?
assaulted though, because
Yeah. I was unclear on
she
that.
was drunk. She was way too drunk. She was essentially blackout drunk. She didn't realize that she was like, she barely remembers. She said in the documentary she barely remembers being with this guy and just being like in the shower
So
with him.
let me understand this. He was in the bed. Would there have been a physical cameraman filming that, or would it have been like static cameras?
Remember, I never saw that end of it. I was only a judge, so I never
I was
got
so
to see
interested
that.
with it. If there
I'm
was a human
assuming-
being in that room,
They did say this in the documentary.
filming.
They said that if you go into the bathroom by yourself, we're not going to film you.
Right.
But if somebody comes into the bathroom
Correct.
with you,
That's what I heard
we
too.
will film
But that's
you.
why I'm interested if there was a human sitting in that bedroom filming, because it was pretty close up when he's on top of her.
I think there was a camera rolling at all times, and I think there was probably one camera operating.
Because like
in
with
there,
Big
too.
Brother, for example, reality show, that's not a real human being. That's static cameras that are placed.
Yeah.
Correct.
So they let it roll and then they take the footage.
Right.
But I think the issue, and I think this is what Shandy was trying to say, was there was a human being
Right. I think
watching
there was a
me
human being.
potentially be coerced into something
Right.
maybe that I didn't agree to, didn't know I was agreeing to because I was out of it, and they carried on and didn't stop it.
I mean, that's awful. I think that was absolutely awful. But I think that for me, the shocking part when I very first watched that scene was not the having sex, although that was shocking. It was actually seeing her call.
Yeah, that was
where she had to call the her boyfriend and say, and you hear what he has to say.
Like, what did you do?
Was
What
that
did
even
you do?
consent? You can't help but think, was that even consensual? Did the
That
boyfriend
was my first thought. Did they ask him, is it okay if we record and
I'm
publish
sure they have. I'm sure they have to. They have to. Yeah, they have to say that you're being recorded. So please, no, they have to say that.
They have to.
And he cried.
I
He
know.
was crying on the phone. He was like, "You stupid bitch! How could you? How could you?"
It is so hard to watch
so
that now.
That is sad.
It's so and a part of me is just like, at the time when I was a kid watching that, I was like, oh, this is the most juiciest thing ever. And I'm like, as a grown adult now, I'm a little bit like, that's so manipulative. That's so emotionally manipulative.
But it's what the show was, because the show really it was about modeling, but it wasn't really about modeling.
So like now looking back, and like again, I was a judge on the show. You don't see things like that, but now when you look back on things, you do see like, oh, that was not really right. Like that's crazy. Like what? And like what you said, was there a person in the room there? Why didn't someone stop this? And when you see the girl, it's like you can tell she's not in her right mind. She's almost unconscious. Why are they letting it go that far? So are we trying to say that the show always had this agenda?
Right. Were we just trying to
mean?
put them in positions where we would get the best bang for our buck?
The best TV.
The
best TV.
And we weren't reality stars. We were never TV producers. We were in a whole different field. So we never, as a judge, we never understood how production went, how story went.
Why would you? That wasn't your
right.
thing.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So we really didn't know what was going on. Like I said, we were fresh to this whole thing. Like, oh, just pick the prettiest picture, attack Janice, say crazy things to the girls, So we did what we did. Like I said, we were like seal puppies, we're like animal crackers. I was thinking we're like circus animals, and they praised us when we did crazy things and stuff like that. Oh, that was great. Keep doing it. Okay, you like that? All right, I'll keep doing it. That's what you want
I can imagine it as well. It's because don't
very
forget,
interesting.
reality TV wasn't there wasn't a thing back then. So
Yeah,
this
we were
was the
very-
start of
it
it.
was
I
the
mean, Big
start of
Brother
it.
had been on since about 2000, I think. So
Big
Big Brother had
Brother,
definitely established
and
in
then
American
the UK.
Idol
And American Idol
and
was
then
what?
the first was the Real World.
And the Real World. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a thing, but I think America's Next Top Model took it to the next
It took
level
it to
of
the
reality
next-
TV.
Yes, it did.
Are you still in contact with Tyra?
No, I haven't spoken to her in years.
Years.
Mhm.
Did you have any? You mentioned that you like what Ken's personality was like. Was Tyra friendly to you? Did
Very friendly.
Very friendly.
And she was immediately let me into that inner circle with her, and she was very friendly. And she was a beautiful woman outside of all her glam. When she just had on t-shirt and jeans and her hair in cornrows, she was unbelievably gorgeous.
I mean, she is
stunning,
gorgeous.
stunning. Very friendly, very down to earth. And
do you think she owes like an apology or maybe give more of an explanation to more of an extent than she did in the documentary at all? Or?
I think, I can't speak for her, but I think if she wanted to try to clarify these things, she should have maybe given a more of a stronger answer, of a delivery of what really went on. And maybe, look, people make mistakes. I was trying to keep up the show. I was trying to keep the ratings up. I was kept chasing, just kept chasing that top show thing that she was trying to do. Again, she's accomplished so much. She did not need to do much more. She could have left on, like you said, after season 10 and
Because
did
in
other
the end,
things.
they actually got rid of her on, I think it was cycle 22.
It was like the second to last
Second
one.
to last.
Yeah.
They actually said, sorry, no, thank you, and then brought Rita Ora in to host it. And
that didn't make any sense either.
I mean, I thought that Tyra in the documentary, I'm on the fence about her because I do agree with you. I think that she was a trailblazer.
She was.
For this show.
Well, she came up with the whole concept.
She came up with the whole concept. She did amazing.
There's the story that maybe someone else did, and she took the credit for it.
Ooh, it just got interesting.
It just got interesting. No, but I when I watched the documentary, I was a little bit disappointed because I felt that she came off as quite, I'm going to say this word and it's not a nice word. I thought she came off as quite fake. A little
I
bit
thought
in
you were
the
going to say something way
think
worse than that.
no.
I thought you were going hard in on maybe.
I just like the constant like
Right.
the plastering on of the smile is like,
I didn't.
Jay's a really good guy. I was like, come on, like you
Right.
haven't even reached. You didn't even go and visit Miss J when
Right.
who was in the hospital and had a stroke, and I was just, she just seemed,
But-
it just seems so fake.
But don't
to
you
me,
think
a little
Tyra
bit.
fancies herself as an actress? Like, she really
No, I
thinks
think-
she's a
terrible
great
actress.
actress.
I think she
Sorry.
I know.
fancies herself as everything. I mean,
Yeah.
she's one of these people that, wants to try to accomplish everything. And that's the
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
She's always chasing something.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not even realistic. And then she has an ice cream. What does she have involved with ice cream?
I mean, she's
From
been
what I knew,
exiled. She's in
lives
Australia.
in Australia now.
But when I
She's
when I knew
exiled.
her, I thought she had she was allergic. She couldn't eat ice cream. She had like celiac disease.
Oh, that's-
from what I thought. And now she's
that's
eating ice cream, but maybe
crazy.
I'm wrong. And she was an actress. Then she was doing a single. She's had a makeup line. She had the model world. She's always creating something. Like sometimes it's good to be known for one or two things.
Yeah, you're
She
right.
said that she wants to be known for ice cream.
Now
Somebody
she
asked her
wants to
that
be
on
known
it.
ice cream?
Now she wants to be
That's
known for
so stupid.
It's like, if
That's
you
so
could, like, what's
ridiculous.
your legacy going to be? And she goes, that I made the best ice cream. I'm like,
Oh, yeah, she's a
Exactly.
regular old Haagen-Dazs. You know what I mean? Like,
That is
what?
funny.
That's
Yeah.
so stupid.
no, but it's not just any ice cream.
Right.
It's hot ice cream.
Right.
Wait,
And what is hot ice
wait a
cream?
I know, it
minute.
doesn't make any sense.
She makes hot ice
She
cream.
makes, it's like the world's first hot ice cream. That's what
And
she's...
I don't know.
Okay, we
She's
don't
she
even
lives
have
in
enough
Sydney.
time.
Like, my sister has been to her store. My sister lives
We
in
don't
Is the
even have
ice
enough
cream
time.
good?
close to Sydney. I don't know. She didn't. My
I
sister
doubt-
never
I
bought
doubt
the
it's
ice cream.
the
She just went to the
Best
store.
ice cream in the world.
I think that's so out of her realm of who she is
I
and her
know.
character.
It's
Maybe
desperate.
she's rebranding
It reeks
herself.
of desperation, though. Honestly, it reeks
It
of
makes
like
her look desperate.
some.
and
Yeah,
she does
it's
not
almost
need to
like
do
this
that.
didn't work. And
Right.
And she came off horribly in that documentary.
Well, she should have been
Horribly.
more honest. She was very proud, and I think we were all proud of her being a beautiful woman of color, being a beautiful supermodel. She was a producer. She was involved heavily in all of it. And then for her to say, well, that really wasn't my end of it. I didn't
Yeah, but
have
she
anything
was
to
the
do with production."
EP. Come
Like,
on.
Oh, she
girl,
was so
You were all
involved.
involved in it. And you
Yes.
always knew what was going on.
And you knew.
And maybe her PR people, maybe the people said, take a fifth, plead a fifth on everything, don't say anything, who knows. But I think she could have been a little bit more honest
That's
with
what I
herself.
think.
And the whole Jay Manuel thing is, I think she should have called him before the show came out, before she
100%.
went on to the
I mean,
documentary.
so are we to assume she hasn't spoken to them in what, more than 10
That I
years
don't know.
plus?
I mean, I
I'm gonna
speak to
assume.
Jay on occasions. I speak to Nigel on occasions. I just reconnected with Jay Alexander
Oh,
at an
amazing.
event.
How is he doing?
he's
Because I love
amazing,
Miss
you
J.
know.
Miss J or Jay
Miss
Alexander?
J.
Jay
Oh, sorry,
Alex-
Miss J Alexander.
Jay
Sorry,
Alexander,
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw him at an event for
He-
Nigel.
he's walking now.
He can walk. He does have the chair. And he looks great.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good.
His
God.
personality is still there. He looks amazing. I saw him do a red carpet event with Jay Manuel. Jay Manuel, I speak to a little bit more often on Instagram and on the phone.
Oh, fabulous.
But Nigel,
I'm glad that you keep in touch with them. And
Yeah.
they were that's what came off from the documentary. They were the good guys. You were the good guys. And then you've
I
got
was
this
known
kind
as a
of like,
bad guy. I was supposed to be the bad guy.
yeah,
of the
but
show.
I don't think you ever
I don't
came
think
off
you
like a
came
bad. I
across
think
as
you
the bad
came off
guy.
as like an antagonist at times, which was great because we needed that. But not. I think we see you as this, and then we see Tyra and Ken Mock. I think those two ended up getting put
yeah,
into
those were the
a-
bad guys.
They were the bad guys because they were the ones, the puppet masters.
But I do have to ask you because Cycle 4, which
Yes.
you were on, they had this famous race swap episode that
Right.
became notorious, for
oh my
like,
God, it's
Yeah.
been
all
slammed.
these years later, we're like, oh, there's something quite problematic about that.
Well, I think
Did you think of anything of it at the time?
You see, the world was at a different level and temperature. Everything that we did, I don't think anything was done purposely to humiliate or to really, at least from my view of it, I don't think they were trying to do that. People did things so differently. We spoke differently. We interacted differently with people. So at that time, it really wasn't as bad as how it is now looking at it, to be honest with you.
Right.
I
Like
think
now
because-
seeing it, like, you're like, oh, that is kind of weird.
But it did. I
Because
agree. It
that's
didn't
not-
feel weird at the time.
No, I when I watched it for the very first time as an 8-year, I mean, yes,
Did you
I
think
was
it was,
8.
did it seem odd?
No, I was
No,
8 years old. I didn't think it was
like,
all
oh,
the
that's
Right.
interesting. But I didn't specifically think of it as being, oh, that's terrible. Like I
Right.
just didn't.
I think that it was.
It was almost like
You
Halloween.
have to think of it like intentionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were the producers or creators of America's Next Top Model intentionally trying to be racist by putting them in blackface? I don't think that
I
they
don't
were.
think they could.
I think there was a lack of- there was
we
a
had
lack
a lot
of
of black
thought.
people on the show.
And they were all
Yeah.
fine with it,
I mean,
well.
Jay Alexander, my mom's black.
Yeah. Jay's
But
mixed,
even the
Jay
contestants,
Manuel
like
is mixed
Yeah.
race.
Kenya
Yeah.
and Tiffany and they were these were all black contestants, black
Right.
models
I don't
that
think
actually didn't.
no one was really standing up and saying, absolutely not, this is not
Right.
appropriate.
I saw an interview with I think it was like a CBS interview or like an ABC interview with some of the models, and Tiffany was like, she was interviewed herself and she was like, I didn't see anything wrong with it at the time. At the
yeah,
time.
and I
Yeah.
think that's the
Yeah.
thing.
That's
It's
the
like
thing.
there's all my favorite TV shows, Friends, Sex and the City, are all
Everything.
getting so much flack now.
Right.
And I just, I'm
Because it
sorry.
was a product of its time.
We can
Right.
definitely say they didn't necessarily age well, that's for sure. But we also we're going to finish soon because we're going to wrap up. But
Sorry.
what do we think about in terms of where we are now? I think it's a really good segue into that. There wouldn't be an America's Next Top Model now, and
I
there
don't
certainly
think
wouldn't
there
be a
could be.
reality TV show
No,
like that now either.
I don't think it could be because we are so diversely open in the world of fashion. Anything goes. Height, race, age. It's all open. It's a beautiful jambalaya of everything right now.
Right.
So how does it work in this time in the world? I don't think it could, unfortunately. It was a time period, an incredible capsule. It got a lot of attention. People loved it.
It
Now
was
they
the
hate
hugest
it.
TV show of the
And
time.
we were voted the #1 reality show of the 2000s.
Absolutely, and I
know?
wouldn't even argue with that. I think that's so
it
true.
was. I remember. I think I forget who voted it.
100%,
It was. So it was something new. It was exciting. It was crazy, and I had a great time on the show. I'm grateful for it. It brought me to meet you guys. I'm here now.
I know,
and
and
things happen.
This is what's so amazing
it's
about the way
crazy.
everything works. So it definitely was a positive thing for you.
I'm going to take it as a positive, even though
I
I
think
paid.
you should.
I had to pay
I
that
think you should.
$11,000. You know, I'm not. I'm over it. You know, but I had a great time on the show. It's good to look back. I'm friends with some of the girls now. You know, I'm seeing Kenya in a few weeks in Miami. So it's just like it was an incredible time, and it's brought me to a new level of life.
Yeah.
And looking at the new reality stars, I'm like, I just see how they manipulate, how these new reality stars really take it to the next level.
Well, yeah, because now if you're a reality star or you know, you're on a show and then you become an influencer from a show, you're earning millions of dollars. The girls from America's Next Top Model earned nothing.
No.
Like they went on to do pretty much nothing. They didn't have that. There wasn't Instagram. There wasn't the social platform for them to go on to at that point. So it's almost like, it's such a shame because now if that show was out, those girls, it wouldn't matter that they didn't become top models. They would be huge influencers. They would earn so much money.
And that's what I said. I think Tyra opened up the door for influencers too. And I do think that. I think because of that show, people have learned that you can become an influencer. And she did pave the way for a lot of things. You know, she may have done things a little wrong, and not a little. She did things that were wrong, and she should just, you know, say, look, I did something wrong.
Yeah, and just admit it.
And
she became a megalomaniac, though. Ego took over at that point.
But like,
so
honestly, I feel like it would satisfy a lot of people if she were to just be really honest and go, I was wrong.
Right.
What I did was bad, and I feel really bad about it. It just, every time she addresses it, it just does not seem genuine.
No, and don't forget, now she can just give you hot ice cream.
Yeah. And you feel better.
That's the best apology there is.
Nola, who was your favourite contestant?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I loved Anne. I loved Kenya. Those girls are like my favorite girls.
Was it true about Anne with the waist and how, so this was another, not
Anne from Cycle
theory.
15, later.
No, so she had a waist that was this big, and Miss J puts his fingers around it, and Tyra says, "There's something I really like about this girl." And they were saying that that she was. A lot of people say she was clearly bulimic, and she whatever, and that it was like promoted that this is what you need to have, like a waist that you can put your hands around, and she was tiny. I know that was a huge, we won't go into that now because we haven't got enough time, but so that was a huge story at the time that Anne, she was a fabulous model. She looked incredible. She was a clothes horse. Everything hung so beautifully.
There was also a contestant in Cycle 4, Michelle. She had like a skin condition.
I love Michelle.
Michelle was fabulous.
Was gorgeous. She's one of my favorites too.
She had this skin condition, and they made this. They really milked it.
They had like some skin eating disease.
Yeah, and it was like
the flesh-eating bacteria.
But they made it like it was like a horror movie. Like they had spooky music.
And it was impetigo.
And people have been dying from it.
I don't want my face to be
I don't want to drink this from this. Michelle drank from this cup, and it was just so funny. They really like just made it.
As a total germaphobe, I would have done the same thing. I'd have been out of that house straight. It was impetigo. That's really contagious. I would have been like, hell no.
Yes.
But this is why I want to say to you that I truly believe that your seasons were the most iconic, because honestly, those are the ones,
those moments
where you go, remember that.
I mean, again,
I just couldn't pick the seasons 10 to 20 out of a lineup. I just don't remember those cycles.
Circling back to like Tiffany, I mean, that is the most iconic moment of like reality television show in the early 2000s, and you were there in the room. Like the fact that I'm sitting across from you, and I'm like, that's literally, it's quotable, it's memeable. Like me and my friends, we will frequently go to each other. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? And I'm like, you were there when it happened.
I love that.
Thank
you for bringing us so much joy, because and my mom too, because she, you know, my mom, she loves the show, and we really did enjoy it.
Thank you guys.
When me and Julia met you last year, how excited were we?
Well, we had, it's still in my fridge.
Yeah, we had
the sheet of paper.
I have that paper.
The VIP,
the VIP list, and we all like we were like, all right, who's who in this crowd?
Nolan's here. Oh my god, we have to find him.
Nolan Barron's here. I I know him. And then we asked who's Andrew.
Yeah.
And Andrew was just like, oh yeah, no, he's here. Yeah, he's here.
And we were like,
can we meet him?
so excited.
Andrew.
But that
You guys are
So
awesome.
we definitely, it's been such a pleasure having you here
Pleasure
because you
being
are
with you
truly an
guys.
expert on this
Oh,
subject.
thank you,
And
guys.
I hope you'll come back at some point.
Of
You're always
course.
welcome here.
Well, thank you. I love you guys. You guys are fabulous.
Thank
And
you.
Stay tuned, everyone.
Stay tuned
stay
because
tuned.
we have so much more to come on the Icons Edit. And the only thing I have left to say is
Wait, sorry, you go.
you two are still in the running to becoming America's Next Top Model. Why did she say it so fast? America's Next Top Model.
One little tiny thing before we
Yes.
leave. You mentioned that it wasn't her idea.
Oh, wait, what is he
No.
doing? It's like out of left field.
Well, she grew up with someone, and supposedly it was her best friend who created the idea. Or
this is the scoop
you know,
right here.
That's
This
the
is
scoop.
and there was-
See, look what we
there
did
was
at the end
something-
there.
There was also something in London called model behavior.
There was.
And she kind of took that idea, told the guy about it. He kind of wrote up I think he kind of created the pilot, or created the entire concept of it, and then gave it to her. So that's what I heard, and I heard that she had to pay him off. That's what we all heard. But you didn't hear
You got all the scoop right here, Dawn.
That's it. That's how we needed to end this podcast. Thank
heard
you
it.
both of you so much. It was
Thank
such
you.
a delight. We could have
Thanks,
talked
Dawn.
about this for hours. Guys, join us next time for another iconic episode of the Icons Edit.